Hey guys, my name's Josiah, and on my channel I simplify the complicated world of bass fishing. So today in this video I'm going to teach you how to tie the easiest leader knot there is. So that's braid to fluorocarbon on your spinning rod, just like this one right here. On this rod right here I've got a drop shot on here, and right on here I've got that right there. This knot right here opens up so many different things in your world of fishing, so let's get into it today. So my line of choice right here is 8-pound Seagar Red Label. This line's relatively cheap, it's not super expensive, and it's still good line. You can get 200 yards of it real cheap, and it's great, especially because you run through so many different leaders so quick, especially when you're dragging through trees, when you're dragging over rocks, going through brush, anything like that. It'll fray your line real quick, so it's good to just be able to retie. Right here, this is 8-pound line. That's what I'd recommend for any leader, honestly, in my opinion. Some people would use a 10-pound leader, even some down to 6 and even down to 4. For some special occasions, but most of the time 8-pound just like this is absolutely perfect, and that's all you need. So what's the use of using a leader like this? So on this rod, if you've ever fished before, you know that when you use a spinning rod, if you have straight fluorocarbon on this reel, it can be extremely rough just because you get the wind knots, like when you cast your line out and it'll get looped up. Yeah, that's about the most annoying thing in the entire world. Of course, braid can get twisted up, especially on the very tip of your rod. You can have issues there, but that's very rare, and that's usually when you're not paying attention. So as long as you're just fishing how you normally do, you're probably not going to have any issues. Probably the biggest thing with using this is how long you have that leader, and I'll be able to show you that in a minute. But some different baits you can throw on this is just like I have right here. I have this drop shot on here, and a drop shot is a great bait. I use drop shots basically all year long, and it's been real effective for me, and I've caught lots of fish on drop shots, big and small fish. It's usually a bait that you can get either get a quick limit, or you can just get some fish in the boat. It's not necessarily a big fish bait, but it can definitely catch big fish. Another bait I would recommend putting on a rod like this, on that 8-pound leader, would be a smaller shaky head. This is a 3/16 ounce shaky head. If I was going to put a shaky head on this rod, I would most likely use an 1/8 ounce shaky head, and that's usually good for about anywhere 15 to 25 feet of water, somewhere in there. You're good on an 1/8 ounce. Shaky head is a great bait for beginners and even experienced people. You can catch real big fish on a shaky head, and you can use so many different baits on the back of a shaky head. My favorite would be the Zoom shaky head worm or the Magnum shaky head worm, but there's all sorts of worms that you can throw on there, all sorts of baits. Mostly you'll see people throwing worms on that, and that's the easiest thing to start out with. So this is gonna be how you tie this knot. So what I do is I just start out with my braid right here. Then I will grab my fluoro right here, roll a little bit off, just bring a little bit out. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, probably about a foot. And then you're gonna put the lines over each other. So this line, they're just running next to each other, just like this. And then you'll grab these lines right up here near the middle. So you'll just grab both of them, pick them both up. Now I usually start with my fluorocarbon first, and so I will grab it, and you're just gonna make it a loop back here to your other hand and grab it with your hand. So you'll have a loop just like this. Once again, grab it, pull it back, and grab it with your other hand, and then you'll have a loop just like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab this loop and just go underneath your line. So you're going to go underneath your line, which sometimes can be a little bit tricky, especially when I'm having to do it like this. But there we go. So once you're through there once, then you're going to do it again. So you can pull out a little bit more line if you have to. You're just going to put it back through it again, and then you're going to do it again. And I usually do this 5 times. So then I'll go again, and then one last time. And then once I've looped it through, now it'll look like this. You're gonna grab your fluorocarbon and you're gonna spit on this line. So once you have it spit on, that's just so it doesn't fray. You're just gonna tighten that up just a little bit, not all the way yet. Just a little bit, not super tight. And then now you're gonna grab your braid over here on the other side and you're gonna make a loop with it as well. It's the same thing as the other side. And then once you have this loop, it'll look just like what the other side did. Now you're gonna go through your line. So, and if you have to, you can just grab it and put it through manually. With the braid, it can be a little bit tricky to get it through, especially that first loop. And loop it again. And just make sure when you're doing this, you're getting both lines through the loop, so your fluorocarbon and your braid. And on the other side, you also want to get both lines through there. And I'm going to do 6 loops on this side. You don't have to do these many loops, but this is just how many I do. Just get to 6, and then just tighten this one down, not all the way, but just most of the way. Then what you're gonna do is, you're gonna grab both sides. So I've got my braid over here, and I'm not grabbing the tag ends. You see the little tag ends coming off right there. I'm grabbing the main lines of both of them. And then right here, you just wanna lick this too in between. And once you're done with that, you're just gonna grab them and pull. And when you pull, those 2 lines are just gonna come together like that. And now your 2 lines should be right next to each other, just like they are right here. So then you're gonna take, I like doing this with scissors because it's just a little bit hard to cut braid with anything else. And now you're gonna cut the tag ends off. So you're gonna grab it and just cut that tag end off as close as possible to the knot. And it'll look just like this then. Then with your braid, you're gonna do the same exact thing. Grab it, get it as close as possible to that knot, and snip it off. With the braid, you'll have to have tension while you're cutting it, or it's not gonna cut. And what I always do, I just do one more test, pull a little bit, not super hard, but just hard enough where, you know, if the fish is pulling. And just like that, you've got a leader tied. What you're gonna do is you're gonna grab right here your spool. I've got this rod laid over here next to me, and it's just kind of leaned up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab right here as my knot. You can see where the braid changes to. And what I'm gonna do, I kind of lean my rod up against a wall like this, and you can see right here where my line switches from the braid to the fluorocarbon. And now I'm just gonna take out a small bit, so I just kind of let the thing go on the floor and I just take a little bit off. Then I grab my rod here, and I grab the line like this, hold it up against the rod, so then I just crank my line right here. I'm just cranking it until the knot from my leader right here is right down here next to the spool. So as you can see, that leader right there on the left side of your screen is down near the spool. So I get it right where it's barely onto it. And once it's barely onto it, I'm gonna do one crank of my reel. So I'm gonna grab it, do one full crank of the handle, and you're good. That's all you gotta do. So then I'm gonna clip my line. Right here's my rod tip. And I'm gonna clip this line right about a foot or two, probably 2 feet down from the rod tip right here. So I take my scissors right here and then just clip it off. And then once I'm clipped off, I'll have an end to my line right there. And then now you've got your leader and you're ready to tie whatever bait on that you want. And right there, that's it. That's how simple it is, guys. It's not very hard to tie that knot at all. I was able to figure that out in maybe a day. I think I had it memorized back when I started. And I just hope that I was able to help you guys with that today, and that'll help you guys to be able to use more baits, and especially if you're getting them wind knots on your rod and your line. That's really annoying, so using the braid to the fluorocarbon is definitely the way to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you had a good time watching it. I hope I did a good job explaining it. Just leave your feedback in the comments, guys. It helps out a lot just to know how can I improve, and everybody have a good day out there, and hope you guys can catch some fish using this trick.